John was a brave soldier, known for his skill and courage. He had been sent on many missions, but this one was different. His superiors believed he would not return. They had sent him to a dangerous jungle planet, a place filled with deadly creatures and thick, dark trees. The planet was known for swallowing up those who dared to enter. When John's spaceship landed, he felt a mix of excitement and fear. The ship's door opened with a loud hiss, and he stepped out onto the soft, muddy ground. The air was hot and humid, making it hard to breathe. Tall trees towered above him, their leaves blocking out most of the sunlight. Strange sounds filled the jungle, birds chirping, insects buzzing, and distant animal calls. It was beautiful, but also frightening. As John walked away from the ship, he remembered the warnings he had received. Many people had tried to survive on this planet, but few had succeeded. He knew he needed to be careful. He scanned his surroundings, looking for signs of danger. The jungle was alive with movement, and he could feel eyes watching him from the shadows. He took a deep breath and began to explore. The ground was covered with thick vines and sharp stones. John carefully made his way through the underbrush, trying to avoid tripping or getting stuck. He moved slowly, listening closely to the sounds around him. Every snap of a twig made him jump. He knew he was not alone. Hours passed as John wandered deeper into the jungle. He found strange plants, some with colorful flowers and others with sharp thorns. He saw creatures he had never imagined, small furry animals that scurried away and large, brightly colored birds that flew overhead. But he also noticed signs of danger. Claw marks on trees and tracks on the ground that told him big predators roamed this place. After a long day of exploring, John decided he needed to find shelter. He searched for a safe place to rest and protect himself from the dangers of the night. As the sun began to set, the jungle changed. Shadows grew longer, and the sounds became louder. He found a large tree with a hollow at its base. It looked like a good place to spend the night. John gathered leaves and branches to make a bed inside the hollow. He felt tired but also proud. He had survived his first day on this strange planet. As he settled in, he listened to the sounds of the jungle. He could hear the rustling of leaves, the calls of nocturnal creatures, and the distant sounds of water flowing. He closed his eyes, hoping to get some sleep. But sleep did not come easily. The jungle was full of noises, and John's mind raced with thoughts of what lay ahead. He knew he had to find food and water soon. The jungle was a beautiful but dangerous place, and he could not let his guard down. As night fell, John heard a new sound, a soft whimpering coming from nearby. Curious, he decided to investigate. He carefully climbed out of his makeshift bed and followed the sound. The moonlight shone through the trees, guiding him as he moved quietly through the underbrush. He soon came upon a small clearing. In the middle of the clearing was a group of strange creatures. They looked like tall women with shimmering skin and colorful hair. They were not human, but they seemed to be in trouble. One of them had a hurt leg, and the others were trying to help her. John's heart raced. He had never seen creatures like this before. The women were beautiful, but they looked scared. He remembered the stories he had heard about the jungle planet and the dangers it held, but something inside him pushed him to help. "Hello," John called out gently, stepping into the light. The women turned to look at him, their eyes wide with surprise and fear. They were unsure if he was a friend or foe. "Please, don't be afraid," he said, raising his hands to show he meant no harm. "I want to help you." The women exchanged glances, and slowly the one with the hurt leg spoke. "Who are you? What do you want?" Her voice was soft but strong. "I'm John. I'm just a soldier trying to survive on this planet. I heard you and wanted to see if I could help," he replied. The women looked at each other, and finally, the one with the hurt leg nodded. "We need help. Our village is under attack from a warlord. He and his men come to take us. We cannot fight them alone." John felt a surge of determination. "I can help you fight. I know how to use weapons and plan attacks. Together, we can defeat this warlord." The women looked hopeful, their fear fading away. They needed a leader, and John felt ready to step up. He knew he had to protect these incredible creatures and their home. Together, they could form a strong team. With a newfound sense of purpose, John smiled. He was no longer just a soldier alone on a jungle planet. He had found allies, strong, brave women who needed him as much as he needed them. And together, they would face the challenges ahead. The alien women. John stood in the clearing, surrounded by the 4 alien women. Each one was unique, with colorful skin and hair that glimmered under the moonlight. They looked both strong and fragile, and John felt a deep urge to protect them. He could see the fear in their eyes, but also a spark of hope. The woman with the hurt leg, named Lyra, was the first to speak. "Thank you for coming to help us, John. We have been hiding from the warlord for too long. He wants to take us away and use us for his own purposes." John nodded, feeling a mix of anger and determination. "I won't let that happen. We will fight back and protect your village." The other 3 women introduced themselves. Mira, who had bright blue skin, Zara, with long, flowing green hair, and Tila, who was small but had fierce-looking golden eyes. Each one had a unique beauty that captivated John. He knew he had to earn their trust and show them he was serious about helping. "Where is your village?" John asked. "We need to know how to plan our attack." Lyra pointed to the east, where the sounds of the jungle grew louder. "It's about a day's walk from here. The warlord's camp is close, and he often sends men to check on us. If we are not careful, they will find us." "Then we should move quickly," John said, glancing at the dark jungle around them. "We need to gather supplies and plan our strategy." The women nodded, ready to follow John. They formed a small group, moving quietly through the jungle. John led the way, using his military training to keep them safe. He felt a sense of responsibility for these women, knowing their lives depended on him. As they walked, John learned more about the women's lives. They shared stories of their village, which was once vibrant and full of joy. Now, fear had taken over as the warlord threatened their freedom. "Why does the warlord want you?" John asked, curious about their situation. Lyra answered, "He believes we have special powers. Each of us has abilities that make us unique. He wants to capture us and use our powers to control others." John felt a surge of protectiveness. "You are not his to take. We will fight back, and I will help you regain your freedom." Mira smiled, her blue skin glowing softly. "We believe in you, John, but we also have our strengths. We can help too." John was impressed by their bravery. He had assumed they would be scared and helpless, but instead they were strong and willing to fight for their home. He realized they were not just victims. They were warriors in their own right. As they continued, they gathered supplies from the jungle. Zara used her skills to find fruits and plants they could eat. Tila showed John how to use leaves and vines to make simple traps for catching food. They worked as a team, each contributing their talents. When they reached a small stream, John stopped to drink and refill their water containers. The cool water felt refreshing, and he took a moment to gather his thoughts. He looked at the women around him, feeling grateful for their friendship and support. As the sun began to rise, painting the sky with bright colors, John realized they needed a plan. He turned to the women and said, "We need to know more about the warlord's camp. Let's scout it out before we attack." Lyra and the others nodded in agreement. "We know the area well. We can help you find the best way to approach the camp," Lyra said, her eyes shining with determination. They decided to split up into 2 groups. John would lead one group, while Lyra would take the other. They would gather information about the warlord's men and their defenses. The women were eager to prove themselves, and John felt a sense of pride as he watched them prepare. As they set off in different directions, John felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. He knew this was a risky move, but it was necessary to save the women and their village. He also realized that he was starting to care for them deeply. They were no longer just allies. They had become friends, and he wanted to protect them at all costs. John's group moved quietly through the jungle, using the cover of trees and bushes to stay hidden. They watched the warlords camp from a distance, observing the guards and the layout of the tents. John noted how many men were on duty and where the weapons were stored. Suddenly, they heard a noise behind them. John turned quickly, his heart racing. He was ready to fight, but it was just Lyra and her group returning. They looked excited. "We found out that the warlord has a weakness," Lyra said breathlessly. "He often leaves the camp to check on another village. When he is gone, the guards will be fewer, and we can strike." John felt a rush of hope. "That's perfect. We can plan our attack for when he leaves." The group gathered together, discussing their plan. They worked late into the night, preparing for the battle ahead. Each woman had a role to play, and John felt confident with them by his side. As they finished their preparations, John looked at the women. "Tomorrow, we fight together. For your village and for our freedom." The women cheered, their voices strong and united. John felt a sense of belonging he had never experienced before. They were not just fighting for survival, they were fighting for each other. And in that moment, John knew they would do whatever it took to win. The bonding. The sun rose brightly over the jungle, casting golden rays through the trees. John and the alien women stood at the edge of their village, feeling the energy of the new day. Today was the day they would fight back against the warlord. They had prepared carefully, and now they were ready to show their strength. As they moved towards the warlord's camp, John felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. He looked at the women beside him. Each one was brave and unique, and he was grateful to have them by his side. Lyra, Mira, Zara, and Tyla walked with purpose, their eyes focused and determined. They were not just allies anymore. They had become a team, a family. When they reached the camp, they hid behind the thick bushes, watching the guards. John whispered to the women, "Remember our plan. We need to stick together and stay quiet until the right moment." The women nodded, their expressions serious. They understood the stakes. As they waited, John felt a strong bond forming between them. He admired their courage and strength. They were more than just alien women to him. They were fighters with dreams, hopes, and stories. After a while, John spotted the warlord's men growing restless. Some were joking, while others were sharpening their weapons. He knew the warlord must be away, just as Lyra had said. "Now is our chance," he whispered, his heart pounding with anticipation. They moved quickly but quietly, using the element of surprise to their advantage. John led the way, and the women followed, their movements graceful and precise. They darted through the trees, closing in on the camp. As they approached, John felt a surge of pride. The women were fighting alongside him, and they were strong. He remembered how scared they had been when they first met, and now they were ready to take back their home. With a sudden shout, John and the women charged into the camp. The guards were caught off guard, and chaos erupted. John fought fiercely, using his training to outsmart the men. He moved quickly, helping the women as they took down their enemies. Lyra fought with fierce determination. She used her agility to dodge attacks, striking her opponents with swift moves. Mira showed her strength, pushing back guards with surprising power. Zara's skills came to life as she worked with the jungle, using her surroundings to trap and confuse the enemies. Tyla, though small, was quick and clever, finding ways to flank the guards and surprise them. Together, they worked as one. John felt a deep connection with each of them as they fought side by side. They were a team, and their bond grew stronger with every move they made. After what felt like hours of fighting, the last of the guards fell. John stood in the center of the camp, breathless but exhilarated. The warlord had been defeated, and the women had fought bravely. They looked at each other, their faces filled with triumph and joy. Lyra stepped forward, her eyes shining. "We did it. We fought together and won." John felt a rush of happiness. Yes, we did. You were amazing. Mira smiled, her blue skin glowing in the sunlight. We are strong because we are together. This victory is ours. As they celebrated, John realized how much he had come to care for each of them. They had shared their fears and hopes, and now they had shared a victory. He felt a sense of belonging he had never experienced before. They had fought not just for freedom, but for each other. In the days that followed, John and the women worked to rebuild their village. They gathered supplies and helped the injured. John found himself drawn to each woman in different ways. He enjoyed his time with Lyra, who was kind and thoughtful. Mira's strength inspired him, and he loved hearing Zora's stories about her culture. Tyla, with her quick wit, always made him laugh. One evening, after a long day of work, they gathered around a fire. The sky was filled with stars, and the air was warm and comforting. John sat with the women, feeling a sense of peace wash over him. "Thank you for everything," John said, looking at them. "I never expected to find friends like you on this planet. You have changed my life." The women exchanged glances, and Lyra smiled. "You have changed our lives too, John. We were scared and alone, but now we feel strong and hopeful. You showed us that we can fight for ourselves." John felt warmth in his heart. They were not just friends. They were family. He looked at each of them, feeling grateful for their presence. In that moment, he knew he wanted to protect them forever. As the fire crackled, John felt a shift in the air. There was something more than friendship between them now. He sensed a growing connection, a bond that went deeper than he had realized. The women looked at him with affection, and he felt a pull toward each of them. "Maybe we can create a new future together," John said, his voice soft but filled with hope. "A future where we support each other, where we can be ourselves." Mira nodded. "Yes, we can be stronger together. We can build a life here, one where we are free." Zora smiled brightly, her eyes sparkling. "We have each other, and that is all that matters." Tyla chimed in. "Let's make our village a home filled with laughter and love." As they sat together, John felt a sense of belonging he had never known. The bond they shared was special, and he knew they would face whatever came their way together. The jungle planet, once a place of fear, had become a home filled with hope, friendship, and love. The war against the warlord. The sun rose over the jungle, casting warm light on the village that John and the women had fought so hard to protect. But even with their victory against the warlord's guards, John knew that the biggest battle was yet to come. The warlord would not give up easily. He would seek revenge. As the morning light broke through the trees, John gathered Lyra, Mira, Zora, and Tyla. They stood in the center of the village, surrounded by the people they had saved. "We must prepare," John said, his voice steady. "The warlord will come back with more men. We need to be ready to defend our home." The women nodded, their expressions serious. They had all seen the threat the warlord posed, and they were determined to fight. "What should we do?" Lyra asked, her eyes filled with determination. John took a deep breath, thinking carefully. "We need to gather more supplies and weapons. We can't rely only on what we have. We should also train the villagers to defend themselves." Mira stepped forward, her blue skin shining in the sunlight. "I can help organize the training. The villagers have been afraid for too long. They need to know they can fight back." Zora added, "I can teach them how to use the jungle to their advantage. We know the land, and we can use it to protect ourselves." Tyla smiled, her golden eyes sparkling with excitement. "Let's show everyone how strong we can be together." John felt a surge of pride as he looked at the women. They were ready to take action, and he was grateful to have them by his side. "All right, let's get to work." The villagers gathered as John and the women began their plan. They split into groups. Some went to gather weapons from the jungle, while others started training. John showed them basic fighting techniques, and the women taught them how to use their unique abilities. As the days went by, the village came alive with energy. The sound of laughter and determination filled the air as people practiced their skills. John felt a sense of hope grow in his heart. The villagers were no longer afraid. They were ready to fight for their home. One day, as they trained, a scout rushed into the village. "The warlord's men are coming," he shouted, breathless. "They are marching through the jungle." John's heart raced. "Everyone, gather around," he called, his voice strong. The villagers and the women came together, their faces serious. "This is it. The warlord is here to take what we have fought for. We must stand together." Mira stepped forward, her blue skin glowing with confidence. "We know this land, and we know how to use it. We can outsmart them." Lyra nodded, her eyes fierce. "We are stronger than they think. We will not let them take our home." John felt a fire ignite within him. "Let's show them what we are made of. We fight not just for ourselves, but for each other." As the warlord's men drew closer, John and the women quickly set up defenses. They used the trees and bushes to create barriers, and they positioned villagers at strategic points. John could see the determination in everyone's eyes. They were ready to protect their home. When the warlord's men finally arrived, they were met with a united front. The villagers stood strong, armed with makeshift weapons and fierce determination. The warlord's men, confident and arrogant, laughed as they approached. They had underestimated the strength of the village, but as the first arrows flew and the battle began, the laughter quickly faded. John and the women fought bravely alongside the villagers, moving like a well-oiled machine. The jungle erupted with sounds of battle, shouts, clashes of weapons, and the calls of the women as they directed the villagers. John found himself fighting back-to-back with Lyra, her agility complementing his strength. They moved together, taking down enemies with skill and precision. Mira and Zara worked as a team, using their abilities to confuse and outmaneuver the warlord's men. In the midst of the chaos, Tilla darted through the shadows, surprising the enemy from behind. John watched in awe as she moved with grace and speed, her quick thinking turning the tide of battle. They were a force to be reckoned with. As the battle raged on, John could feel the energy of the villagers. They fought with passion and courage. Each victory brought them closer, and with each defeat of an enemy, their confidence grew. They were no longer just villagers. They were warriors. Hours passed, and the sun began to set, casting a golden hue over the battlefield. The warlord's men were falling back, their confidence shattered. John felt a rush of victory. They had pushed back the invaders, but he knew this was not the end. The warlord would return, angrier and more determined than ever. After the dust settled, John gathered the villagers and the women. "We did it," he said, his voice filled with pride. "We fought together, and we showed them our strength. But we must remain vigilant. The warlord will not give up easily." The villagers nodded, their faces filled with determination. They had faced their fears and fought for their home. Lyra, Mira, Zara, and Tyla stood beside John, their bond stronger than ever. They were not just allies in battle. They were a family forged through fire and struggle. As the stars began to twinkle in the night sky, John looked at the women he had come to care for deeply. They had fought for each other, and together they would face whatever challenges lay ahead. The war against the warlord was far from over, but they were ready to stand and fight together, no matter what. New beginnings. The battle against the warlord had ended, but the journey was just beginning for John and the women. As dawn broke over the jungle, the village was filled with a sense of hope and renewal. The villagers had fought bravely, and they were beginning to heal from the wounds of war. John felt a deep sense of pride as he looked at the people around him. They had come together as a strong community, and he was grateful to be a part of it. In the days that followed, John worked alongside Lyra, Mira, Zara, and Tyla to rebuild the village. They cleared away the remnants of the battle, repairing homes and gathering supplies. The air was filled with laughter as the villagers worked together, sharing stories and helping one another. The jungle that had once been a place of fear was now a source of life and strength. One afternoon, as they worked, Lyra approached John with a serious expression. "We need to talk about the warlord," she said softly. "He won't just give up. He will come back, and we must be ready." John nodded, feeling the weight of her words. "You're right. We can't let our guard down. We need to strengthen our defenses and prepare for whatever he might do next." Mira joined them, her blue skin shimmering in the sunlight. "We can gather more villagers from nearby areas. If we unite with them, we can create a larger force. Together, we will be stronger." Zara added, "And we should train more." The villagers showed great courage, but we need to make sure everyone is ready for the next fight. Tyla smiled, her eyes sparkling with determination. "I can help with the training. We can make it fun and engaging. Everyone will want to join." John felt a surge of hope. "That's a great idea. Let's invite everyone to come together for training. We'll create a plan to prepare for the warlord." As they worked on their plans, John felt a deepening bond with the women. They were not just partners in battle. They were friends, and he cherished their connection. Each day, as they fought together, shared laughter, and supported one another, he found himself growing closer to them. One evening, as the sun set over the jungle, casting a warm glow on everything, John sat by the fire with Lyra, Mira, Zara, and Tyla. They had just finished a long day of training and rebuilding, and they were tired but happy. The crackling of the fire and the sound of the jungle filled the air as they shared stories about their lives before the war. "I never thought I would find a home here," John said, looking at each of the women. "When I first landed on this planet, I felt lost and alone. But now, I feel like I belong." Lyra smiled, her expression softening. "You have given us hope, John. We were afraid of the warlord, but you showed us we could fight back. You became our leader, and we are grateful for you." Mira nodded. "And you have become family to us. We support each other in ways I never imagined possible." Zara chimed in. "Together, we can create a new future, one where we are free and strong." Tyla leaned closer, her eyes shining brightly. "Let's make this village a safe place for everyone. We can turn it into a home filled with joy and love." As the fire crackled, John felt warmth spread through his chest. The women's words touched him deeply. They were right. They could create something beautiful together. He had never imagined he could find such a strong sense of belonging on this jungle planet. In the following weeks, the village transformed. More people joined them, bringing supplies and skills. The training sessions grew larger and more energetic. John watched as the villagers learned to fight, finding strength they didn't know they had. Lyra, Mira, Zara, and Tyla became leaders, guiding the villagers with their skills and knowledge. The jungle was filled with laughter and the sounds of people working together. They cleared more land for farming, planted crops, and built better homes. The community was thriving, and John felt proud to be part of it. One day, while they were training, a loud noise echoed through the jungle. Everyone stopped and turned to see a group of warriors approaching. John's heart raced. "Prepare yourselves," he shouted, knowing they had to stand ready for anything. As the warriors came closer, John saw they were not the warlord's men. They were villagers from a nearby settlement. They approached cautiously, but their eyes were filled with hope. "We heard about your victory against the warlord," one of them said. "We want to join you and fight together." John's heart soared. "Yes, we welcome you to our village. Together, we will create a strong force against the warlord. You are safe here." The newcomers smiled, relief washing over their faces. They joined in the training, bringing their skills and stories with them. The village continued to grow, and John felt the community becoming stronger with every new face. As the weeks turned into months, John realized that they were no longer just preparing for war. They were building a life together. The village was filled with families, laughter, and love. John had not only found a home, but also a future he never dreamed of. One night, As they gathered around the fire, John looked at the women who had become so important to him. "Thank you for everything," he said sincerely. "You have all changed my life." Lyra, Mira, Zara, and Tyla exchanged glances, their smiles bright. They had all fought for each other and built a new beginning together. They knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them as one, united in friendship and love. And so, under the starlit sky, John and the women sat together, feeling the warmth of their bond and the promise of a brighter future. A choice of love. As the village continued to grow stronger, John felt a new feeling blossoming within him. The bonds he shared with Lyra, Mira, Zara, and Tilla had deepened into something more. They had fought together, laughed together, and built a home. Now, John found himself standing at a crossroads of the heart, unsure of which path to take. One evening, after a long day of training, John sat by the river that flowed near the village. The water sparkled under the moonlight, and the sounds of the jungle surrounded him. He took a deep breath, trying to clear his mind. But the images of the women filled his thoughts. Lyra was strong and brave, always leading the villagers with confidence. Mira was wise and kind, her heart as vast as the sky. Zora was fierce and passionate, always ready to fight for what was right. And Tyla was playful and adventurous, bringing joy to everyone around her. Each of them had touched his heart in different ways, and now he felt torn. As he sat by the river, lost in his thoughts, he heard a soft voice. "John, are you okay?" It was Lyra. She approached him, her blue skin glowing softly in the moonlight. John looked up, a smile spreading across his face. "I'm just thinking, Lyra. There's so much happening, and I feel a bit overwhelmed." She sat down beside him, her expression understanding. "It's normal to feel that way, especially after everything we've been through. We've built a new life here, and it's a lot to take in." He nodded, grateful for her presence. I care about all of you. You've become my family, and I can't help but feel something deeper." Lyra's eyes sparkled as she listened. "You're not alone in those feelings, John. We all care for you. But have you thought about what that means? What do you want?" John sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I don't know. I feel drawn to each of you in different ways, but I don't want to hurt anyone. I don't want to choose one person over the others." Lyra smiled gently. "Love isn't always about choosing one person. It can be about sharing that love in different ways. Each of us has a unique bond with you." As they spoke, Mira joined them by the river, sensing the serious conversation. "What's going on?" she asked, her voice calm. "Just some thoughts about our feelings for John," Lyra replied, her tone warm. Mira nodded, sitting down on the other side of John. "It's okay to feel unsure. We've all grown close, and it's natural to have those feelings. But remember, love is not a competition. It's about connection." John looked at both women, feeling a sense of relief wash over him. "Thank you for understanding. I don't want to lose what we have." "None of us want that," Mira said, her expression softening. "We're stronger together. But you should also be honest about your feelings. It will help us all." As they talked, Zara appeared, a playful smile on her face. "What's this?" "A secret meeting by the river," she teased, but then her expression turned serious. "I hope I'm not interrupting anything." "No, we were just discussing our feelings," John said, glancing between the three women. "It's important for us to talk about how we all feel." Zara sat down, curiosity sparkling in her eyes. "I like this. I want to know what everyone is thinking." John took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment. "I care for each of you deeply. You've all shown me kindness, strength, and love. I just don't know how to navigate these feelings." Zara leaned closer, her expression warm and sincere. "It's okay to feel confused. We're all in this together, and I think we should support each other, no matter what." Just then, Tilla arrived, her energy vibrant and infectious. "What's going on?" I heard whispers about feelings and love. Are we having a party without me? She laughed, but then she noticed the serious expressions on everyone's faces. Oh, it's serious, isn't it? John couldn't help but smile at Tyla's enthusiasm. We were just talking about how we feel for each other. It's important to understand our connections. Tyla's eyes widened with excitement. I love this. We should all be open and honest about how we feel. It's the only way to grow together. As they all sat by the river, John felt a sense of unity. He realized that they didn't have to choose one person over another. Their love could be different, and they could support each other in their individual relationships. Maybe we can explore this together, John suggested, looking at each of them. We can continue to build our connections without pressure. Let's see where it leads us. Lyra, Mira, Zara, and Tyla smiled, their expressions filled with understanding and acceptance. They had all felt the weight of their feelings, and now they could navigate it together. The stars twinkled above them, reflecting the possibilities of love and connection. As they laughed and shared stories under the moonlight, John felt grateful for the bonds they were forming. The jungle was not just a backdrop for their lives. It was a witness to their love, their struggles, and their triumphs. Together, they would face whatever challenges came their way. They had built a home filled with love and hope, and John knew that whatever path they chose, they would walk it side by side, united in their shared journey, a future together. The village was alive with excitement as the sun rose over the jungle. It had been several weeks since John and the women had openly shared their feelings. Since then, the bonds among them had only grown stronger. They had become a close-knit family, supporting one another as they built their lives together in this vibrant community. John looked around, taking in the sights and sounds of the village. Children played by the river, while adults tended to their gardens. Laughter filled the air, mixing with the calls of jungle animals. It was a beautiful morning, and John felt a warm sense of peace settle in his heart. Today was special. The village had decided to hold a celebration to honor their victories and to mark the beginning of a new chapter in their lives. Everyone had worked hard to prepare for the feast. Tables were set up, filled with fruits, vegetables, and dishes from their kitchens. Colorful decorations made from jungle flowers adorned the area, adding beauty to the festive atmosphere. Lyra approached John with a smile. "Are you ready for today's celebration?" she asked, her eyes sparkling with joy. "I am," John replied, returning her smile. "It feels great to celebrate everything we've achieved together." Mira joined them, her voice calm and encouraging. "Let's remember to honor the strength of our community. It's our unity that has brought us this far." John nodded, feeling the weight of her words. "Absolutely. We couldn't have done any of this without each other." As they prepared for the celebration, Zara and Tyla rushed over, laughter echoing in the air. "We've set everything up perfectly," Zara exclaimed, her enthusiasm infectious. "You won't believe how amazing it looks." Tyla added, "And I made some special drinks for everyone. You're going to love them." Her energy radiated as she bounced on her feet. John couldn't help but feel a sense of gratitude for the women in his life. Each of them brought something unique to the community, and their love for one another filled the air with joy. As they all worked together, John realized that he had not only found friendship, but also love in its many forms. When the sun began to set, casting a warm golden glow over the village, it was time to celebrate. Everyone gathered, excited and eager to enjoy the festivities. The villagers formed a circle, and John stood in the center, feeling both nervous and proud. "Welcome, everyone," he called out, his voice steady. "Today, we celebrate our victories and the bonds that have brought us together. We are no longer just survivors. We are a family." Cheers erupted from the crowd, filling the air with joy. John felt a rush of emotion as he looked at the smiling faces surrounding him. He turned to Lyra, Mira, Zara, and Tyla, each of them standing beside him, their eyes shining with happiness. "We fought hard to build this community," John continued, But it is our love for one another that truly makes us strong. Together, we will face whatever challenges come our way." As he spoke, John realized that he had never felt so alive. The villagers cheered again, their voices blending into a beautiful harmony. The sound of drums began to play, and the celebration officially started. Dancing, laughter, and music filled the night. The villagers celebrated not only their triumphs, but also their newfound freedom. John joined in the dancing, his heart light and free. The joy in the air was contagious, and he felt a deep connection with everyone around him. As the night wore on, John found a moment to step away from the festivities. He walked to the edge of the village, where the jungle met the stars. The moon hung low, casting a soft glow over everything. It was a peaceful moment, and John felt grateful for the life he had found here. Suddenly, he heard footsteps behind him. Turning around, he saw Lyra approaching. "I thought I'd find you here," she said, her voice gentle, taking a moment to reflect. John nodded, feeling a sense of comfort in her presence. "I just wanted to appreciate how far we've come. This place, these people, it feels like home." Lyra smiled, stepping closer. "And it's a home we've built together. You have become a part of our family, John. We are so lucky to have you." Just then, Mira, Zara, and Tela joined them. Each of them stood close, their expressions filled with warmth and understanding. "We wanted to check on you," Zara said, her voice bright. "You looked deep in thought." John admitted, feeling a rush of affection for the women. "I was thinking about how much we mean to each other." Tila grinned, her eyes sparkling. "We do. And today is a celebration of that love. We can create a beautiful future together." Mira nodded, her voice steady. "No matter what happens, we will face it as a team. Our love will guide us." As they stood together under the stars, John felt a deep sense of belonging. They had faced challenges and fought for their lives, but they had also found love and joy. They were ready to embrace whatever the future held for them. With a heart full of hope, John turned to the women. "Together, we can achieve anything. I'm excited for our future." Lyra, Mira, Zara, and Tila all smiled, their hearts united in that moment. They knew that they would support each other, no matter what. The jungle, once a place of fear and uncertainty, had become their home filled with love, laughter, and hope. As the celebration continued, they danced, sang, and shared stories. Under the vast, starlit sky, John realized that he had found not just love, but a family that would stand by him through thick and thin. And so, in the heart of the jungle, surrounded by the people he cherished most, John embraced a future filled with promise, knowing they would face it together, hand in hand, heart to heart.